Hey, Tactical 40K, it's been a little bit. I've had like some weird respiratory thing going on, so I haven't been doing any updates. But we did get a game in last night through a real quick 1,000 point game against a guy who drove quite a bit of ways just to throw a game in. It turned out it was a 1,000 point game. So I had my 2,000 point army and I left. So I have two different lists built, a 1K and a 2K, obviously. And I totally forgot one of the 1K pieces, my Vindicator tank. So that kind of sucks. So I put a Gladiator in there. But anyway, we played Death Guard. We played that one where you like, it's corner and corner deployment. And then you have like the 9-inch circle. And it was like take hold or take and hold. And then whatever that one is, where you're like, basically your deployment zone is just like a corner. And it has a little moon thing. So that was interesting. I can't, forgive me for not having the terminology on the top of my head. But we played that. Just so you know, so my 1K list is, of course, it has Shrike in it. And one of the differences is I don't have any Inceptors in there. I don't have any Eradicators. I have a Vindicator and a Whirlwind. But currently, because I'm still experimenting with my 1K list. Because it's hard when you have a 2K list. I have like specific tools. I have lists or pieces in that list that do specific things, and then some of them have a little bit of redundancy to it. And in the 1K list, you're like, well, the points just don't add up to be able to take this tool to do this. So I got to do this, but then there's only one piece. And if that somehow gets taken out, then what do I do? So I try to build in a little redundancy here and there, and I'll go into that just in a second. So instead of like I've been talking about running that Calyxus Assassin, I like to run in my 2K list. Well, on the 1K list, I like the Cladius because, we're losing some of those tools. So I have Shrike and her loaning, they're both alone. They both up B Downy. They both got loan up. They both do, incredible amount of scoring. So I had those two. I had scouts, of course. Scouts are just like auto include, even as even though they got the points rate, the points hike. I got my aggressor brick in there still with the Biologus, even though they're not as great, even with the volume of fire as like when Gladius Task Force, you take them and you put the fire discipline, and it's just like insane. But they're good. They're a solid unit. They're intimidating. I've got them in the combat now. This game, I got them in the combat. I got them in the combat the last game against the Orcs. They worked out pretty well. I did forget lethal hits when they were in melee, when they're on fighting for this objective, but we'll go into that later. So I got the aggressor brick. I got Shrike. I got Cladius. I got the Whirlwind. I have, it would be Gladiator this time, but usually it's a Vindicator, and I have Intercessors. Since I just put a Gladiator in there, I went ahead and just put Blade Driven Deep on the Biologus, but usually I don't even run that in the 1K list right now because there's very specific times when it does play. Like say my 2K list, I run it with my Judiciary, but it's more of like I don't know if I've talked about the military, or in military terms we call it setting up defense in depth, which we'll probably go into that in another video because that's something you learn in the military. It's just a way to set up a proper defense with lanes of fire and a way to interdict the enemy and cause him to culminate before his plan actually can go into effect. And they call that a defense in depth, and we can go into that later. But anyway, in this list, I can't really do that. In this list in the 1K, I'm playing maneuverability and having a couple key units for them to focus on because usually they have the same problem unless you're a real hoardy army. But anyway, he had Death Shroud Terminators, 2 Plague Hearse Crawlers, which seem pretty insane, but he has 2 of those. He had a big blob like the Nurglings or whatever those things are. They're like T4 with no save, and there's like 20 of them or whatever. And then he had some character in there with a big sheath or whatever, with like a big fat Grim Reaper, and then some Plague Marines and another character. So anyway, we go into that. It's hard. This is the first time I've played that corner to corner, especially with a list like this. And I like having it spread out because I can set up for certain point things. But luckily I have a lot of infiltrators, so I infiltrated onto the no man's land objectives pretty easy because he didn't have anything that infiltrated. So scouts and the Cladius and then my Blade Driven Deep. I actually didn't put them on objective. I put them in cover near the objective because where he was deploying right on the line to go to the center. I kept Shrike back because it doesn't really matter. You're going to pick him up anyway. And he doesn't have infiltrate. Kept the Intercessors on the home objective to sticky it. Put the Whirlwind back there. Put the Gladiator up on the point behind cover. Bam, I get first turn, advance the Gladiator up the left flank the way he because he put his Plague Curse crawlers in the back. I couldn't get line of sight if I go right, so I go left. If I had my Vindicator, I'd have kept it off the board. And then I would wait for things to play out a little bit more and bring it in and just lambast those things. But I didn't have that, so I just ran the Gladiator up that wing. And of course, he kept the Death Shroud Terminators in Deep Strike. So ran it up the left wing. Stickied my home objective, my scouts on the right lower flank here, stickied that one with Deadly Prize. And then I kept my Cladius there, which I didn't have anything on there. So, and I can't use strats on her that are Adeptas, obviously. So I can't like sticky stuff. So I had to keep her there for a little while. But what I could do then is I didn't move my intercessors up or advance them because I was like, well, I'm going to get them staged so that if I can go up to the center objective, because I drew Assassinate too. I drew Assassinate and something else that would cleanse. So yeah, they cleansed, and then she stickied and cleansed those two. So I cleansed two, moved my aggressors out, tried to shoot because he put these Plague Marines on the line to come after the scouts. Tried to assassinate that dude. I killed all of his the bodyguard units, which is that's what I'm saying. It wasn't that great, and I left him alone. I left the character on 2 wounds. What else did I do? And that was pretty much turn 1. Then so I scored that. I was playing the scoring game. Pulled Shrike, or I didn't pull Shrike because he pulled Shrike at the end of their fight turn because he was there. I waited. He went. He tried to shoot his indirect, which either way, it's like -1 and then cover. And then if he has any kind of enhancements, then we still have -1 in cover because of our Shadow Master's ability in the Vanguard. But it just didn't do very much. I think he killed a couple of aggressors or something at one point. Oh, he killed the aggressors with some kind of ability. So even though he could not see them, but he has some ability on one of the dudes that allows him to put mortal wounds. So he killed a couple of aggressors. And that was pretty much it. He kind of was trying to score, and then all of a sudden his mind would be like, well, this is a threat, and I got to go after it. So he tried to position where he can go after certain things and forego scoring a little bit. So he stickied like one objective. He pulled his character back to get away from my aggressors and put him on the home objectives, his home objective, to kind of sticky that, I guess, because you can with him. And then he moved the other dudes out onto the point on the main objective. Next turn, anyway, at the end of his turn, I pull Shrike, put him off, and then I pulled my scouts off because they already did their business, and now we're going into turn 2. I can bring them back on because if you pull them, they fall under the reserve thing. So if you pull them, if you're like going second, you pull them, then you have to wait till turn 2. But if you're going first and you pull them at the end of the opponent's turn, you go into turn 2, then you can bring them back on. Of course, that's not, they don't have deep strike or anything, so you have to pull them off the side of the board, regular reserve rules. So anyway, do that, pull them on the objective with the Cladius, I just like, well, what do I do with Shrike? Well, I put him just in an advantageous position. Maybe I want to go to the center objective, move the aggressors up. I'm going to shoot them and then charge onto the center objective with them, move the Gladiator in position so I can get a line of sight on one of the Plague Curse crawlers, and then just kind of tuck the Whirlwind a little bit so that I can screen out for those Terminators. Spread out my intercessors also to do the same, so he has to go in certain positions. But anyway, so we do that. We kill all those little there's like 20 of them. Killed like 6 of those nerdling things, or maybe we only killed a couple. I can't remember. Run the aggressors in there, charge in. Or we did kill 6 of them, because here's what happened, or roughly 6. We charged the aggressors in, and the first time ever I used that stratagem called Surgical Strikes, I had 2 CP. I didn't have a captain to use it because it's battle tactical. I went ahead and paid for it, and I should have thought about this. There's a couple of lapses in my own judgment, but I got Assassinate with my indirect fire and the guy that was sitting on his objective, which plays later. Anyway, kill him, run in there, use Surgical Strikes to take out the character and those nerdlings or whatever they are, cultists. Take him out with the Surgical Strikes and the aggressors, which is cool. That also gives your bio load just like objective control 9, which is crazy. What else do I do? Oh, Gladiator into the Plague Curse. He saves like one of the shots, I guess they got a 5-up invul, which that's why you want the Vindicator. Anyway, it's like an 8 damage, brings him down to brackets him. But the second one, I can't do anything to. Anyway, he brings down those Death Shroud Terminators back in the corner where the Cladius is, not in my deployment, but really close because I kind of screened him out, and he kills her and then charges and kills the scouts, takes a mortal on the one because I stickied it too, a deadly prize. I then go ahead and I just leave those guys. I think I shoot a couple of bolters into him, take a wound, and then give him a wound or whatever. I think I might have killed one with the deadly prize and the bolters from the gladiator. He ends up killing. I tank, or I hit my shots with the gladiator, but he saves them all with CP, other than CP reroll. So those plague curse crawlers are still there. I'm just gonna quick because it's 10 minutes, so we're gonna just sum this up. Anyway, he kills the gladiator, right? He and his little terminators kill those guys. The next turn that comes out, he kills a couple of my intercessors, but I pull it so he can't charge, so he can't get on there. I end up killing all those little nurglings on there. I have that objective. I out OCM too, because then I put one of the intercessors up on that point as well. I take Shrike, and since he's so, before he killed that gladiator, he positioned him in such a way, he had it where if I put Shrike down on his home objective, he might be able to at least charge me or do something with that Plague Curse Crawler, but he really wanted that gladiator because it kicks out damage when it does. So he kind of positioned it a couple inches too far. I put Shrike down at the very corner and hit on his home objective, take that sticky away, win that home objective. He's pretty much at that point. We're going into like turn 4 or whatever. He kills the gladiator, but there's not much he can do. His indirect's not doing too much with to the aggressors, but what do I need them for? They already did what they had to do. I put my intercessors up there, sticky that anyway if I wanted to. Anyway, he called it at the end, and it was like, at that point, it was like 40, 50 or so. I can't remember it till like 14. And then if we scored the next round with I was like 70 something, and he was running out of stuff to be able to do. But anyway, so it was a pretty good showing. Like I said, the only thing different that I would do, it's the first time I played that deployment, but I would like to run my Vindicator and keep it off the board, and then bring it in turn 2, turn 3 maybe, and then position it where it's just like one shot, Plague Curse gone, and then maybe you get and then the next round another Plague Curse gone, but you get it, you kind of position it, hopefully you get to like bring it down or something to score, because I'm trying to get into that mode where I'm like, okay, well, we got to score points. It's not just about killing things. If we can survive, and then when we draw those cards, we can then, we're in that position to kill or do things. Like I was in the position to cleanse. It was awesome. I was actually in the position where I could have at least like investigated 3 corners, or I could put units to investigate 3 corners. I was in the position to deploy teleport home in the center or area denial. It was nice. It was nice the way I had done that. And I went into this, I didn't know how to really deploy these units, to be totally honest. But what I do, like on Hammer and Anvil or like a sweeping engagement, I can kind of deploy the way I've been with my 2K list that is undefeated so far. But with this one, it was kind of an experiment, but it was an interesting experiment. This guy, he wants to play me again, but with maybe a larger list, or just, he forgot a couple of his abilities. He wants to do that, which I said, yeah, let's do it. I would like to do the 2K list because I actually feel more comfortable with my 2K list than the 1K. I feel like I got the tools to deal with things. It's nice as a Space Marine player to have like Inceptors and Eradicators off the board and bring those things in. And then having one Lancer, to me, I'm sitting here with the one Lancer and he gets tanked, and I feel like he needs his bro. He needs the second Lancer with him. He feels naked, but he really does. Well, I feel better with one Vindicator, to be totally honest. One Vindicator, I'm happy. I'm like, okay, we're good to go. One Lancer, I'm like on the edge of my pants, on the edge of my seat. Like, oh my, what's gonna happen here? I have no idea. Hopefully we can do something. I don't know. But it worked itself out. We won, but it was not the easiest victory. It felt kind of easy because I'm uppy downy, but it didn't feel easy because of the damage I was taking. Like, yeah, on the Lancer. The ease at which he was able to, with those Terminators that he had, the Death Shroud Terminators, just take out like a Scout and the Assassin. But in reality, those units, like we look at the points wise, 65 points and 90. She scored me 5 right there. They scored me like 20 or whatever it was, because they stickied the one where he couldn't get to, and I eliminated that right flank. And then they they did the same up there, and they got me. So they scored. The scouts scored me a bunch of points. And when he came in deep strike, he had to pick between two. He could have gone over here and try to get the aggressors and take that one, but then he left this objective and is take and hold. So I had him, because of the ability of Vanguard and the units I took, to move and to get here and there, and having the right lone ops in the right places, and being able to pick up it and then having the right amount of firepower that looks crazy. Like the aggressor brick and the tanks and stuff. It gives you that opportunity to move around and score. So anyway, if you have any questions, even though sometimes I don't get to the comments and forever, because I'm not like I'm making money off this. I'm just kind of giving my Raven Guard or my tactics, and not just Raven Guard, but I just happen to play Raven Guard now. And we got lists for other Space Marine chapters. It's just I just like the Raven Guard tactics. I wish we had one more character, like a sniper or something. They need to come up with another character for Raven Guard and let us and put them on the tabletop. Because like what Imperial Fists have 2 characters, Salamanders have 2 characters. I think us and or Raven Guard and the White Scars are the only ones that are like out. Ultramarines have like I don't know how many characters. That's why you take Ultramarines though, is because their characters do so much. Like Ventress gives you a deep strike. If I had deep strike on one of those units, I'd be way more effective, even though I just took Ventress and didn't take anything else. And save points. Or you take Calgar and Ventress and you get extra CP. You get a beefier unit. If you put him with aggressors, then you get the 2-up, 4-up, at least for a little while. Makes them a little bit more tanky. Not only his attacks, and you can advance and shoot advanced charges. You just get a lot more with them. So it's interesting, but playing Raven Guard and seeing how well you can do with that is a challenge. So, but Shrike, don't get me wrong, Shrike is a beast. He's a madman, and he gets things done. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Peace.